But so what we're going to be talking about is nurturing a growth mindset. And basically that wraps around my entrepreneurship journey of innovation and adaptability. And when I say innovation, I don't mean tech world, because I have no idea about tech. I don't deal with tech. But when you come up with one problem, you have to be innovative and pivot to get the resolution to move forward. So we're going to dive into that. Three factors that contribute to my success: my vision, which is inspired obviously by my family; the entrepreneurial ventures, basically a testament to innovation; and the growth mindset, which ignites the innovation to get to where I'm at today. My family is my inspiration, and my family is kind of what put me where I need to be. So I've been a mom since I was 14 years old. I have my second child at 17 and my third at 26. Pretty cool, right? No, it wasn't. To be honest, it wasn't that bad either. My grandmother raised me, and she always said to me, "You're not going to be the first, and you're not going to be the last, but I'm going to support you." So she supported me and helped me through most of me becoming a young mom. I had two kids by the time I was 17, and one of them was almost three. So it was very interesting. And even back then, it wasn't about entrepreneurship. You're probably thinking, oh, she's probably been doing businesses since then. No, it wasn't. It was a survival mechanism. When you have kids at a young age, for me, it was to survive. So I end up encountering having conflict within the law, being incarcerated a few dozen times, being on house arrest, ankle bracelets, probation, you name it, I was it. And that was even when I was a mother. So when I say my vision and inspiration was my children, I didn't realize that until about 2012. So many years later, when you become a teenage mom, you are very selfish because you're still a teenager. You still want to do everything that your friends are doing. You still want to, be in the scene and party and hang out and go play basketball, even though you can't play basketball. You want to be there around the boys just to hang out. And that was my focus. At the time, my kids weren't. Close to 2012, 2013, closer to 2013. Basically, it was a wake up call. My kids were growing up. My youngest in the picture, the little small one there, she was 5, and my son would have been 13, and my middle daughter, 11, 10 or 11, 10. And it was messy. I went through a breakup after 20 years. And I was just back at rock bottom, right back on welfare, social assistance, back on going to food banks, back living in a bachelor apartment. Everything just went downhill. So I decided to fuel everything that was going on with me and really concentrate on my children and what's their best interest. And the moment I decided to flick that switch is when everything changed for me. When my kids really became the inspiration and the vision, and my driving force to do what I need to do. And going into that, in 2013, I started my first company, and it was a boring ass cleaning company. Literally, I was cleaning people's toilets. I was out there just going door to door asking people, do they need cleaning services? And mind you, I had no idea about my target market or my niche or how to price my services. I had no idea. I was just knocking and cleaning, knocking and cleaning. I got all my cleaning supplies from the dollar store on Young Street in Halifax, and I made it work. And at the same time, I was delivering newspapers at nighttime, which was pretty cool because guess what? They don't ask for a criminal record check. So I was able to keep that job for about 18 months. Once the cleaning company, started moving, and it moved pretty quickly, to be quite honest. Once I realized that I had something, probably within 2 years, I brought on my first that I thought was a contractor. And I say that jokingly because if you don't know the rules and regulations when you go into business, you end up screwing yourself. So I say contractor because I had her sign a contract that said she was a contractor. But the minute I gave her cleaning supplies and told her when to be, where to be, what time to be, She became my employee. So the labor board came after me. But that's another discussion for a different day when we talk about rules and regulations in business. What they don't tell you when you start a company. Soon as I had my first person on, things really started elevating for me. I started going through a transition of, okay, I'm surviving. My kids are eating, bills are being paid. I'm able to move out of the community I was in, and I'm making money. Like, I'm not going to the food bank this month. I can pay my rent this month, and no, I don't gotta like take from Peter to pay Paul. I'm able to get my kids their winter boots and jackets for the winter and not have to wait until the 20th of December. Um, it was so different. And that's when I think the pivotal point for me was my transformation into entrepreneurial ventures. 2015, um, I was cleaning Airbnbs for people. And if anybody knows me, they know my mind. It's quite different. I always think about how I can make money too. So I'm cleaning Airbnbs and we had 37 contracts. And I'm like, if they're able to pay me this amount to clean, and mind you, I was charging $180 per Airbnb for 3 bedrooms or less. Anything more than that would be more with no laundry attached. So I was like, okay, if they can afford this, let me see what's going on. So then I had them add me as a secondary person on their Airbnb profile. And I could see exactly what they were charging, how they were communicating, what goes into building your Airbnb profile on Airbnb. I was able to see the whole back end, and it took me about 8 months. Within that 8 months, me and my fiance we decided to start our first Airbnb, and that was in 2015. And we had 8 Airbnbs before the pandemic came down on us. I had a cleaning company. I had Airbnbs. So my cleaning company was cleaning the Airbnb, so that money was going back into my pockets. Um, and it was really, really lucrative. At the same time, I got bored, a little bit bored. And I've always loved makeup. And there was no type of local lipstick lines or anything like that that was dedicated towards women of color. So I developed a vegan lipstick line for women of color. At the same time, we were knee deep into the Airbnb situation, and the pandemic just hit. I didn't care. I wanted to get more money. So when I say the entrepreneurial ventures, it literally hit in once the cleaning company started moving and taking off. In 2020, when the pandemic, it wasn't when I did this, it wasn't that bad that I can remember. It was the pandemic. Things were shut and things were closing, things were opening. You were masking, you weren't masking, you were traveling, you weren't traveling. But at the time I started Black Women Excellence, we were pretty much open. So I think our restrictions lifted for a bit or something because I vaguely remember, and I say vaguely because some of the pandemic I like to block out. I vaguely remember, excuse me, us hosting our first 16-week startup in person. So we were able to do the first one for 16 weeks, which is almost 4 months in person. And that was in the heat of the pandemic. And I did that because there were so many Black women, as you guys can imagine, that lost their jobs due to whatever reason. Most of it was because they never had childcare because school was closed. School was constantly being closed, and their employers weren't happy with that. So they were bringing out their side hustles and they were attending pop up shops and flea markets and they're on their Facebook advertising all these things. And to me, it was a shock because I knew a lot of these women and I had no idea that these women had side hustles, businesses, streams of income. I had no idea until the pandemic. But what they didn't realize, and I didn't realize, is that they were just like me when they were starting. They had no clue about what they had no clue about when it came to business. So I approached them all via email or Facebook or Instagram DMs. And I was just like, listen, I've been in business a while. You guys know me. Are you guys interested in taking this from a side hustle and going in full tilt? And a lot of their responses was like, no, no one's going to invest in me. I'm just a girl from the hood. I don't know shit about business. Where am I getting the money from? Like, no one's going to take me serious. I didn't go to school for business. It was all the negatives, all the negatives. And at the moment, I realized that I'm where I need to be in life. I'm doing pretty good. So now it's time for me to take my lived experiences and help my community out. So that's exactly what I did in September 30th, 2020. Um, Entrepreneurship has not always been a part of my life. I was not raised in entrepreneurial community or household. Um, I was raised to know how to hustle to make sure that you're able to always provide and figure things out. But the word entrepreneur, I had no clue what it was until literally, you guys, 2015, after I started my cleaning company. Had no idea. I never heard the term before. Um, it since 2013 though, it's always been a part of me. Every single day, everything I do is a testament to the entrepreneurial mindset that I have. There's always something I want to do. Sometimes I have to flick that switch off because you can't do a lot of things good at the same time. You have to pick and choose what you want to do good and build the foundation and then move on. Um, the journey for me, it does reflect my relentless drive. I don't give up. I don't really like to use the word resilience. I know a lot of you guys are used to that word, but I'm not trying to use as much as I used to because a lot of black women get labeled as strong, resilient, powerful, and then sometimes it's not a positive thing. It's almost like we were meant to be, this way. You don't give up. You're not tired. You're not going through mental health. And I shouldn't even just say black women. I should say women in general, but predominantly women of color and black women get labeled the strength of a lion. Um, but I would use the word relentless. I am relentless when it comes to starting a business and seeing it through. So most recently in June, I passed down my cleaning company to my 24-year-old. Um, she's 24 now. Wow, it went quick. Once I made my first 1 million, not in revenue, I made 1 million. Um, I passed it down to her. And then that same week, I registered another business for small business consulting firm that's ran by Black women professionals across Canada. We do virtual services. And that just shows you that, relentless, I guess that's the word I can use, but I just go hard when it comes to entrepreneurship and creating multiple streams of income, just so I know that I can live good and that my kids will be okay if anything happens to me. Um, Beyond my personal, growth, I always look at the community at large, being women, women of color or black women. I work in the communities on a regular basis. I give back more than anything. And just to note that Black Women in Excellence, we do not have core funding from the government. We are a non for profit that has great data. We do great work, great partnerships. We do not have core funding. So one of my companies was my cleaning company, carried the organization for the first 2 years, paid for everything for the organization. And even with the 16-week startup, I was doing that for free. I did literally, I'm on my 10th cohort. So I did 9 cohorts for free every Tuesday evening for 2 hours away from my family. In my time, I created the curriculum and I photocopied. They all got booklets. I don't got one to show you yet. Create the booklets. Everything was absolutely off my own personal dime because I have a passion to see the community thrive. Recognition and my accolades. I never thought I'd be able to even say that, to be quite honest. You go from being incarcerated um, to having ankle bracelets on and wearing jeans all summer because you don't want no one to know, to being able to say recognition and accolades. It's weird when I say it, and they have not come easy. Um, I'm just now 3 years in of the organization being recognized as an entrepreneur, but I've been an entrepreneur since 2013. Isn't that funny? I've been in business. I've made a lot of money. I created job opportunities for individuals from my communities. But yet I'm just now getting recognized in 2023. It is what it is, I guess. It's all, debatable, or it's all in politics, or it's who's the new flavor of the year. every year is going to be a new flavor of the year, and I guess this year that's the best you're going to get from this black girl. I ain't doing no more. Go into business, do all these things, make all this money. And then one day I just had the epiphany, shit, girl, like you could be even better if you had an MBA next to your name, if you had those three letters. And I took the ambition, I just applied, and I had to apply to school that was online because St. Mary's wants you in person. I ain't got the time to go sit in person, and University of Fredericton allowed you to do it online. So I applied, and 7 days later, I got an acceptance letter. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. So me being educated is one thing. And I'll even through the last couple of years, not doing the MBA, workplace education programs with content marketing using AI, project management, introduction to accounting, accounting 101, social media marketing. I have tons of certificates on my wall here, and every bit of education I take in, I put into my curriculum for my 16 weeker so that I'm able to give that same education back to the communities that I work in. I'm huge on mentorship. I dedicate 20 hours a week as a mentor for an organization called Rise. It's in Ontario. If anybody identifies as having mental health, addictions, or any other barriers that you feel prevent you from starting your business, Rise is the place to go. They give forgivable loans up to $100,000, I believe, and they dispersed a quarter. No, I think it was a million this year. Last year was quarter of a million. This year, $1 million in loans they've given out. So just a little plug. It's called Rise, RISE, helps, HELPS. Sorry. So I'm a mentor with them. I've been with them for 3 years, and I'm a mentor with Scotiabank Women's Initiative, and I've been with them for 2 years. And of course, doing the professional in residence when St. Mary's. When Jada asked me, I said absolutely. If there is one Black woman or a woman of color that I can inspire and keep them empowered to keep going on their journey, I'm all for it. Um, and I do a lot of different mentorship, just in general. I was at an event the other night. Tashana, we didn't see you there, but Shanika was there. Um, and it was for a lady named Courage. She works for Futurepreneur, and she had her grand opening of her marketing company. And there was a lady that came up to me, and she was like, "I only came to this event so I can see you in person, give you my card, and ask you to be my mentor." I was like, "Damn. So what do you do?" Like she caught me off guard, right? Um, so I was like, "Absolutely. Send me an email," which she did. So I do mentorship all the time. If I can give an hour a week, an hour a month, I definitely do it, and I feel great about doing it. I don't regret it. Advocacy, literally, I go through that and I go hard with that every single day. I had meetings today with the government in Nova Scotia with workplace education, and I just called them out for their lack of diversity when it comes to, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and their programs is bullshit. That's why I said to them, it's bullshit. You guys are actually checking the boxes. It's bullshit. Um, and it was a great meeting. They are going to make some changes, which is great. Even though I was nominated for Halifax Chamber stuff, I called them out last year in January. And if anybody's on my LinkedIn, you can actually scroll back to last January. I actually did a video and I called the Halifax Chamber out about their biases, not unconscious, they're very freaking conscious biases, racism and discrimination, and all kinds of other things. And I took a lot of flack for that, trust me. Because Halifax Chamber has a big community, and I had a lot of people threatening me in anonymous emails, right? But through me calling them out on a video, they made changes. They had a big meeting. They brought some Black leaders from the community in, and they actually hired an outside consultant to come in and looked at their protocols and practices over their initiatives and their business awards. And she raked them, cleaned them, like told them everything about it was totally wrong. So I'm glad I did call them out. So I'm big on that. I'm big on holding people accountable. I'm not just person that has businesses and you see me everywhere. You may see me everywhere, so it doesn't mean that I'm in these spaces because they like me. I'm in them spaces because they have to respect me because they know what I'm going to say and do if I'm not in those spaces. Um, BWIE definitely provides, a platform for Black women to connect, collaborate, and thrive. One big thing I'm proud about with BWIE this year alone, I was able to get funding to do a 12-week cohort with women from the African diaspora, Caribbean, and African Nova Scotian together. So there was 5 women of each. There was 15 of them, and they had to do, professional development together, business building together, collaboration together, networking together. Everything was together. And I'm really proud of it because sometimes in our communities we are divided. Within our communities we're divided. So I'm really proud of that. I love to see people connect and network and build because there's enough money for all of us out there. PT, next one. So the growth mindsets. Oh my God. This is a big one because my journey has been not easy. And I don't just mean in personal life, I mean in business. Even though, like, last 3 years, I'm out there, a leader in the community and yada, 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 I still get people that will try to drag me from my past. Drag me. They will do these anonymous emails to universities. If I'm keynote speaking somewhere, oh, someone's thing's on. I'm going to mute them. If I'm keynote speaking at an event, a university, anywhere, and they tag me in because people want to do their marketing. So they're going to put a picture of me up and they're going to put me out there. And if these individuals see it, they will actually email the school, the organization, the corporation, and let them know, she was in jail. She's this, she's that. Like they drag me. One thing I've learned in my growth mindset in the last 2 years is that you cannot profit in your own backyard. It's not going to happen. Your target market should not be your friends, family, and community. You have to go outside that and think bigger. So my journey is still hard because even though, I think if anybody's on here that followed me on LinkedIn even a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I put a picture of one of my mugshots alongside of my Halifax Chamber business leader nomination picture. And I put it on LinkedIn and I did a whole post about, recreating yourself for yourself, and CTV captured it, Global News, CBC, podcast people. I did interviews with all of them. So I'm very transparent about my past, and these people still do it. It's like they continue to wanna just keep bringing it up, right? And I don't even know who the people are. They're anonymous. Like I don't have a clue. You can guess, but you don't know. So even though you may see me in a certain light, I'm still dealing with stuff on the back end. It's hard. You just got to keep crawling through it and get to the other side because you're always going to have individuals that may want to see you do good, but never better than them. So always remember that. Challenges happen every single day when it comes between payroll or when it comes to, social media posting, which I absolutely hate. Even though you guys see me on social media, it doesn't mean I like it. It takes so much energy to put something on my face and go on social media. But I will say when I'm on there, I am authentic. Sometimes I don't have any makeup. Sometimes my hair is freshly washed and matted in the middle. And I will go on that way. So at least I'm authentic. But every day, the shifting is different. Today was different than yesterday. Today is going to be different than tomorrow. It's a constant battle that you have to keep your head down to get through when you're an entrepreneur because even nighttime when you sleep, my brain doesn't just shut off and I go to sleep. It doesn't happen. I literally will lay there and say, "Oh, did I send that email? Oh, did I respond to her? Oh, did I pay that? Did I pay that bill? Did I lock my front door? Did I put my dog out? Oh, I think my bathroom light's on." Like literally, I'll lay there and go through it for a good 45 minutes, and I'll get up and go check all those things I thought about that I didn't do and I actually did. So it's not going to be something where you're an entrepreneur and then everything's great, ladies and gents. It's not going to be the perfect storm. Lots of setbacks, valuable lessons. One I talked about earlier with the labor board, I briefly talked about it. I had no idea the difference between an employee, contractor, and subcontractor. So I had my first one. She was my contractor. She signed a contract that said she was going to be a contractor at this amount of money, and she was with me for 3 years, literally. And she got fired. And when I fired her, she went to labor board. So you know what happened? Because I was supplying her with supplies, giving her a schedule. That's what I thought you did with contractors. And they actually went back 3 years to scale vacation pay from me, employee benefits from me. So I came with about $30,000 I had to pay to her. Um, it was a mess, but I didn't know. So those are some of the lessons. I've been audited by CRA, because I did Noble HST GST remittance to the government every 90 days or yearly. I had no idea. I just knew I was getting money from customers, and I was banking it or spending it. Let's be honest, I was spending it. I was just spending it. Didn't know I had to give this money to the government because I was charging taxes. So for all you guys out there, if you're charging taxes, that money don't belong to you. Put that money in a separate account and it goes to the government. But I didn't know, so I was audited, and they froze my bank accounts, everything for almost 6 months. I didn't have access to nothing. Luckily, I have that mentality of having cash under the mattress. I still operate that way, so I had money. But everything that was an asset, they froze on me. So those are two big learning, experiences that I've experienced over the last 2 years. Um, and I wouldn't say they're setbacks because I just learned from them. So when after I got audited, it never happened again. With the labor people, it never happened again. And now I make sure I let the women know who are starting businesses, listen, you need to know the difference. When you register your business with joint stocks, you do not need to go to CRA and get a HST GST number right away. You can wait until you hit $30,000 before you register for that number. They don't tell you that when you register your business with joint stocks. There is no book out there that lays down what you can do and what you don't have to do. So my learning experience, I make sure another person doesn't have to go through it. Adapting to change, I adapt to change all the time. I will say probably the last 3 years being in so many spaces that I'm the only Black woman is adapting to change. I'm from the hood, so I'm used to being people look like me every day, all day. And when I started Black Women in Excellence, I started going in spaces where I am the only Black girl. And that was a big adaptation for me, not knowing the place settings for a formal dinner. I don't know if any of you guys can, relate to that. If you were going to a formal dinner, do you know your place setting? Do you know your salad fork, your meat knife? Do you guys really know your place settings? I had no idea. And the first time I went to an event like that, I wanted to like crawl into a fucking hole, because I was actually speaking at this event, but yet I didn't eat anything because I didn't want to grab the wrong thing. It was just too much in the front of me, like the water glass, the wine glass, the coffee, like it was just too much. Well, how I grew up, you use the same fork for your salad and your potatoes. You don't switch off forks. That's too much dishes, right? The same spoon for your soup and your ice cream. Same thing. There's no dessert spoon in a soup spoon. So for me, that was an adaptation I had to get quick with. And I did it by going on YouTube and teaching myself the etiquette and the everything I had to do with basic, casual, and formal dining. And now I do workshops on that. So I actually created a placemat that looks like a placemat, and it has a picture. um I won't be able to show you because the light's too strong. I can't see it on my phone. But it has a picture of a place setting for a formal dinner. So if you go to a chamber event, they're all formal. And you can just open your phone and look, and it'll tell you what fork to use. You go from your right to your left. You go from the outside inside as your meals come. But who tells you that? Right? Who tells you that they don't? So those are a few things, adapting to that, adapting to having to be that token. You choose. Like I choose to be a token sometimes. Sometimes I don't even see it until it's too late, but I adapt and choose to be a token to create change. And that's hard because you know you're being used, but yet you're doing it because you want to create change. I don't know how many people are okay with knowing they're being used. But when you're a leader in the community, in the Black community, there are certain things you're going to have to just do and then kind of suck it up. Staying motivated. This is my superpower. Like I am going to be quite fucking honest. Staying motivated is my superpower. I wake up every day loving everything I do because I chose to do it. No one's telling me to get up to do it. No one's saying clock in. No one's saying you can't take vacation. Everything I'm doing is all mine. I operate three companies and an organization out of my home office. I don't have a commercial space because I choose not to have the overhead. Everything's done in this little pink room, and I absolutely love it. And when you love something, you know you have a passion with a purpose, and it transcends out to people. So I'm always motivated, and I know if I'm having a bad day today, it ain't gonna be bad tomorrow because the sun does have to come back out. So that is definitely my superpower, and I don't know if it's because what I've been through in life in general as to why I'm always motivated and I'm able to inspire other people. But I'm gonna own it because it is my superpower. I think embracing growth. You have to embrace the fact that you're growing. And guess what, guys? Growth is going to be so uncomfortable and so scary. If something is uncomfortable and something is scary, fucking do it. Do it, do it, do it. Because that's the moment where you know you're growing. If you are comfortable, it's almost like, and no shade to anybody that wears sneakers or flats. But when you wear sneakers and flats, your feet are so comfortable, aren't they? But when you wear a pair of heels, a nice pair of pumps, your feet are on fire. You're walking on coal. But what makes your body look good? Which one is more forming? It's when you wear heels. So they say beauty is pain. It's the same with, you know, taking that leap of faith. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. But if you're uncomfortable, you are. And growth leads to revenue. Growth leads to success. Growth leads to so many different roads where you're going to come on the other side and really feel good about yourself. Success is not just about individuals' achievements. I'm a firm believer. It is measured by the positive impact on the whole landscape and communities it serves. Even though I direct my services towards Black women, I work in the entrepreneurship ecosystem within Atlantic Canada and Canada. And that's where my success is achieved because it's not just the Black people that know me. I have every type of person that knows me. If you go to any type of entrepreneurship event through Canada and you say my name, they're going to know exactly who I am. So that's where I measure my success is people know who Tia is. I was at an event in Vancouver and I spoke at a conference. It was for the African Business Summit. And I introduced myself and someone yelled and said, "You're just like Cher or Beyonce. You don't even got to say your last name no more. Stop saying your last name. We know who Tia is." And I don't even know the woman. And from that day, I realized, okay, I'm a bad bitch because now I don't even have to say my last name no more, right? Um, and entrepreneurship involves creating a network. I believe your network is your net worth. Um, I may have $0 in my bank account, but I'm going to tell you, I have a whole heap more in my Rolodex. I have a huge network. If you came to me for something and I can't do it or I can't answer it, I can 99.99999 guarantee you someone in my network that I have can do it for you or answer your question. I'm big on networking events and I go to networking events that I don't know people. I go on Eventbrite and I see what's going on in the community on certain weeks. And I go where I don't know people. I go to rural communities where I don't know them because you never know who you're going to meet. I went to an awards last year. It wasn't voluntary. They gave me a free ticket. So it wasn't like I really wanted to go. But I went to the Ernest Young Awards. If anybody knows Ernest Young Awards or their entrepreneurship platform, it is white space. So I went to these awards and they're down at Pier 21. And I literally was the only Black person, not woman, person. And there's about 250 people there. I stood out like a sore thumb. I should have been with the caterers. because they were black. I stood out, and I had pink lipstick on, pink nails, a pink blazer, and a little black dress and pink fucking heels. So I was like Julia Roberts walking into fucking, you may as well say, a whole bank corporate event. That's what I felt like. But I sucked it up. I stayed. I worked the room, and I had this gentleman come over to me, and he got to be about in his 60s. He was like, "Do you mind if I sit down and eat at this table?" I said, "No, go ahead, eat with me. Let's get to know each other." Anyways, the same gentleman committed to giving Black women excellence $50,000 over the next 5 years, like each year, $50,000 every year, just because he's a philanthropist, he has money, and he wants to find a good cause. And me sitting with him that night in an uncomfortable space, he just gives us $50,000 checks every year for the next 5 years, just because, right? So you don't know who you're going to meet. So I'm really a firm believer on embracing networking events, guys. um, Challenges are opportunities that, are profound growth. Setbacks are going to happen. You suck it up and you keep it moving. You don't let a setback stop you. You just pivot. You know that word they use all during the pandemic? Same thing. A setback, you just got to pivot and go around and figure something else out. Um, Sustain entrepreneurial endeavors. I'm big on that. You have to maintain your motivation because you have to have a business that you love. If you choose a business that is popular on social media and you don't really like it and you're not really passionate about it, guess what's going to happen? You are not going to stay motivated. It's going to start feeling like a 9 to 5 that you're working for someone else. You're not going to give good customer service because you're just over it. You need to ensure that you have something that you're actually passionate about so that you stay fueled and you stay moving forward. Um, do be creative, think, always push your boundaries, and don't be scared to do groundbreaking ideas. You are not going to get supported by people in general. So if you have an idea and you think it's great, guess what's going to happen if you share it with family, friends, or community? They're not entrepreneurs. They're going to be like, "That's crazy. It ain't going to work." Um, when I said I want to start Black Women in Excellence, they said there's already people out there doing that. Don't waste your time. And I said, who? What people are out there working with Black women? And there still is none except for me. I'm the only organization that has a mandate to work with Black women east of Ontario. So I cover all the Atlantic provinces. In Ontario, there's two other organizations that similarly do what I do. And after Ontario, there's none. So if I would listen to those people, there's already people out there doing it. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. Well, Black women in excellence wouldn't exist. Entrepreneurship is an opportunity to leave an incredible mark on the world. You're actively contributing to a future where innovation and empowerment thrive. I don't want people to stump you guys in your entrepreneurship dreams, entrepreneurship ideas, or your entrepreneurship hustles. Whatever you have stewing up in that brain, keep stewing it and eventually lay the foundation, because this is where things change. Airbnb came into effect because hotels weren't convenient; they were expensive. Uber came in. Uber, like the original Uber, not Uber Eats. Uber came in because taxis were expensive and they were creepy and dirty and things were not right with taxi services. So Uber came in. Netflix came in because Blockbuster wasn't convenient. People didn't want to leave their house to drive to Blockbuster or get their movies taken back within 24 hours, even though you got their free popcorn. And I'm probably aging myself because I'm almost guaranteed no one on this goddamn thing tonight knows what Blockbuster is. Am I correct? I do apologize. Um, Sorry. But that's why Netflix came into effect because Blockbuster was a movie rental place. You would go with your membership and you would pick DVDs and movies, and you'd have to take it back in 24 hours. So just know that your idea is going to be something someday. So do not let anybody deter you from changing that. And the invitation is to continue the journey of growth. Um, Even though I work with Black women, I work with Scotiabank Women's Initiative and Rise, so they don't always have Black women. I've been paired with Lebanese, Asian, the list goes on. Like I've been paired with anybody. If you're a woman or identify as a woman, and you're looking to have a conversation, I will definitely have a conversation because I feel that together growth and armed with shared commitment. we're going to be badasses in the entrepreneurship landscape, not just in Atlanta, Canada, but Canada and beyond. And this picture is an epitome of why I do what I do. These ladies were all candidates in our second annual pitch competition this year. And three of the ladies, well, two came from New Brunswick, one came from PEI, because they don't have this stuff there. And these women, we worked with Jason Turner at the Entrepreneurship Center. We had a whole 8-hour day of coaching. Um, it was amazing. So this is why I do what I do. This is a legacy I want to leave behind, because when I'm working with these women, I'm educating these women or putting them in front of other individuals like Jason and other resources. They and that trickles down to their children. That's a legacy. And their children go, I'm like, Mom, how'd you know that? Oh, remember Miss Tia? I told you about Miss Tia. That's a legacy. So this picture means a lot to me. And this is just the women from the pitch competition. I need to get a bigger picture. We have about 237 members of our organization now. And if I can get them all in one picture, it'd be wonderful, right? That's a lasting legacy. So, in conclusion, my journey is proof that having a growth mindset is powerful. It's not just about my success, guys, it's about making a positive impact on how we do business and inspiring others to succeed. As we navigate our own paths in business, let's remember to embrace challenges, learn from your setbacks because you're going to have tons of them, adapt to change, and stay motivated. With a growth mindset, we can fuel innovation, overcome challenges, and leave a lasting mark on the world. So I just want